Besides double thumbing, what is the helpful exercises?
Some of the most helpful exercises that you play.
Some of the most helpful exercises that I've learned. I'll give you a pretty good exercise. It's an exercise that I like to do, and it's with a drum machine. You play bass, right? You have a bass here? Why don't you come up here for a second? This is a fun exercise. Let me say this. What do you think the number one thing people want from a bass player is? Yes, sir.
I get this all the time. Lay down a fat bottom.
Lay down a fat bottom. What were you going to say?
Play in the pocket, sorry.
Groove, play in the pocket.
Yeah.
Anyone else? Yeah, that's about it. Now, let me point out something. Why do you? If the number one thing is to play in the pocket, lay down a fat bottom, lay down a groove, why do you sit around and practice scales all day?
Because I don't want to play that.
Huh?
Because I don't want to play that.
You don't want to play what?
It's not fun playing one note.
But can you make one? But can you make one note fat on the bottom? The thing is, most of us can't play the fat bottom because we're not working on it. We want to play more notes. Like Jeff or like myself or Jocko, and you think that's what we're doing is playing a bunch of notes. It's not just playing a bunch of notes. It's playing a bunch of notes that are fat, that are in the pocket, that groove. And we have to be able to do that first before we can play a lot of notes. Jocko Pistorius is one of the most busiest players I've ever heard, but every note was perfect, right in the pocket. How many people after your gig get compliments and say, man, those notes you played were great. Man, I love your scales or harmony. That's not the compliments you get. You get the compliments of whether you can groove or not. As bass players, I say we are feel players, groove players first. Note players somewhere else down the line. But we practice notes all the time and wonder why we're not working and don't sound good. It's like, trying to eat a cake that's got beautiful icing, and you stick your fork in it and you realize there's no cake, it's all icing. That's the way most of us are approaching it. We're trying to build it from the top down rather than the bottom up. So the exercises that I like to give people, because I know harmony is being taught everywhere. Scales, modes, that theory which deals with that is being taught everywhere, and I'm not that good at teaching that anyway. So the lack that I see, and especially as young players, new players that are coming up, is we're not feeling good. We're not grooving. And which means in turn we're not working. So the exercises I'll show you right now are geared towards building up a groove, a solid fat bottom, all these things we talked about. Which you guys are telling me that's what people want. Why aren't you practicing it? If you know that's what they want. I don't get it. So you play with a band. Play something that you might play with a band. I'm going to just go through a couple of things real quick. Just play anything you might play, any bass line or whatever. Okay, pretty cool. Very, very cool. Tell me this. No, show me this, actually. We're going to act like these people aren't here. What is the drummer doing when you're doing that? Can you show me and let me hear what the drummer, not with the bass, but just act like the drummer for a second. And what would the drummer be doing as you're playing? Okay? So I want you to try this just as an experiment. In your head, I want you to see and hear that drummer playing that beat. Don't just hear it, but see him doing it. So you can see his body. Right? Do it for 4, 8 bars or whatever, and then when you're ready, play that same line. But here's the hard part. Put 0 attention on that instrument in your hand. The goal here is to try to put 100% of your attention on what the drummer's doing. It's just an experiment. So your hands are actually going to play on automatic by themselves. Your whole being is seeing, feeling, and hearing that drum. Just try it, see what happens. grooving, yeah.
Smooth.
I'm sorry?
Smooth.
Smooth, yeah. What most people miss is that the notes get fatter and rounder. And I won't go further with this, but I'm going to move quickly. What I found out is that when I can get people to stop thinking about the instrument, they play better. How long have you been playing? 20 years in April, and he's still thinking about the instrument. Isn't it time to start thinking about music? Isn't that what you're supposed to be playing? Or are you still playing the bass? If you're still playing the bass, you're not playing as much music as you could be playing. So just experiment. Now, I'm not saying that you should never think of the instrument, but as an experiment, I wanted him to try to take 100%, which I know he can't do. But even in trying it, it made him play better. So if you put your attention where music is, music will come out of your instrument. Right? Is the bass playing the music, or are you? It's you, so why is your attention there? What's your instrument you use when you talk? Your voice, your mouth, your lips, your tongue, your larynx, your Adam's apple, your diaphragm. What are you thinking about when you talk? None of that. Absolutely. If you try thinking about your instrument when you talk, you will have a hard time talking. Is this music a language? Then maybe the same is true with this instrument. Most of us can't get past the instrument. We are stuck at the instrument, and music is sitting there waiting for you to arrive. One of these days you're going to join me as Lord Music's sitting there thinking, just waiting for you. But you're stuck at the instrument. If you've been playing more than a few years, start letting that instrument go. Now there are times you got to focus on it. You have to. But I say let's go to where music is living. And music will totally welcome you in. It's no different than talking. If a policeman walked in right now and singled you out and said, walk a straight line, you've been walking your whole life, but you'd have a hard time walking a straight line if he made you do it. Why? Because you're thinking about something you can already do. If you put too much thought into something you can already do, you will do it worse. That's what most of us bass players are doing. Our attention is right here, and this thing doesn't make any music. You do. So start making music. Stop playing the bass. Play music. Bass is just an instrument. No more than this is an instrument. I'm not talking mouth. I'm not a mouth talker. I speak English. I play music. This is just in the way. This allows you to hear my music. That's the way I look at it. I'm musical without this. But when this is in my hands, you can hear it. Still coming from the same place. Most of us so happy to be bass players. Oh, I got the latest double thumb trick. It's like I can curl my tongue and loop it. You if I ain't saying anything, it doesn't make a difference. So techniques that don't allow you to play great music are worthless. So learn to play music. If you focus on music, the techniques will show up. Cool? Thank you. That's a nice groove, by the way. Yeah. The neat thing about that exercise is I've been doing it long enough to where I can hear where their attention is going. If they mess up on a note, your attention goes back to the bass, and it pulls the groove away from you. I have a theory that says if I keep grooving, it won't matter what note I'm playing. It's going to feel good. And to the listener, that wrong note will go over their head because it never felt that. And I believe people feel music before they listen to it. I don't know if that makes any sense.